All right. So it's 5:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the work session for City of Minnetrista, February 6th, 2023. We have 2 items on our agenda, upcoming city event dates and tree trust sale discussion. And just for the record, I'll do a quick roll call. We have City Clerk Don Modsko with us, Allie Paulfus, our Director of Administration, Gary Peters, Director of Public Works. Council members present are Claudia Lacey, Peter Vickery, Kathleen Refkin. I'm Lisa Whalen, the Mayor. And then we also have Jasper Krugel, City Administrator, Brian Grimm, Finance Director, and our Chief of Police, Paul Falls. So welcome all of you, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Jasper.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Tonight we're just kind of checking off a couple things on the list to talk about. We have some city events that we haven't held in a couple of years due to COVID-19. And just want to go over what the plans are, what the dates are, kind of what the approximate cost is for attending, and then get a little feedback to see if those dates work and just kind of let everybody know. The big ones that we'll talk about are like Trista Day. We need a little direction on that regarding a couple items, and then we'll just go from there. And then the tree lighting potentially that we've discussed in the past. So the first item that you'll see on the agenda is the State of the City address. We haven't done this since 2019. What's being proposed is to do it out at Burl Oaks Golf Course on April 18th from 6 to 7. The approximate cost for this event is likely to be $750 to $1,500, dependent on how many people RSVP. So we'll require people to RSVP. There's a set cap limit, I believe, of 65 people. So we'll set the cap at that, and then it'll be the first 65 people that want to attend if we hit that number. And then the cost will be $0 for residents, but there will be like light appetizers, and there will be a cash bar available there. So that's the kind of lowdown on the state of the city. Mayor, I don't know if you want to add anything.
So a couple things. One of the reasons I was proposing to do it at like Burl Oaks, what I was saying is it'd be nice to do it every year at a different business location. We don't have very many. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, short list, I know. So every third year we would probably rotate. But anyhow, the reason being is I just thought it would be nice to highlight some of our businesses. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously, we're, like Eddie's Marina, not going to work out, you know. But Burl Oaks would be great. And I don't know if the Minnetonka Orchard, if in the future they might have a place that would also be interesting and fun. And then also Buddy Boy is another one that I think would be another good location. Again, just to highlight those businesses and thank them for being in our community and that kind of thing. The other reason I thought maybe it would be a little more enticing to come to a nicer location with a cash bar versus here at City Hall and cake and cookies. So I thought now here's my question. Really, we're only limited to 65?
I believe that's what Stefan.
I haven't talked to him, but if you have him, probably.
And there's a room capacity.
The room, okay, maybe it can squeeze a few more people in.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll get that many. In the past, I don't know, maybe 40 have shown up if I begged them to come.
Whatever the room capacity, I could be off. It could be more, but whatever the capacity is, we'll set that RSVP limit to that.
And February 18th is the tax day, but I figured that if you don't have your taxes done by 7 o'clock on the 18th, well, you're probably not going to get them done. So is that okay with all of you? Okay.
All right, the next item, we'll go in chronological order that we should discuss. Historically, Trista Day has been on, I think, that third weekend in May, so that falls on May 20th of this year. Typically, we do that from 11 to 2. One of the things we should discuss today is just the food. If we want to do hot dogs and chips and beverage again this year, Public Works does that generally. They do that grilling. One of the ideas that we had was maybe try to get a food truck or two to come in here, or maybe an ice cream vendor of some sort, like we did with I think the Lyle Park ribbon cutting. Something like that would potentially save a little bit of city funds as the hot dogs and the staff time and the rental for the grills and the tent. I think roughly comes out to like $4,000. So that'd be something to look at. We have, in anticipation of this meeting, we have reached out to some food truck vendors. The feedback that we've gotten is generally these things get booked in like November or December. Oh. So we're kind of a little bit behind on that. Not saying that there isn't the possibility to proceed in that manner. We could still reach out. I think the staff preference would be to pursue food trucks, and if we can't get a food truck or two lined up, then we just revert back to the hot dogs, and then probably plan on try to get food trucks lined up earlier for 2024.
Buddy Boys would probably.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I did reach out and talk to Buddy Boys. Apparently, they don't do their food trailers anymore.
Oh, but how many people did you say it would be? Like 45 to 60?
No, this is Trista Day.
Oh.
Trista Day, yeah. It's like varies on the weather. I think from what I've heard, 750 to maybe
2,000.
Yeah, 1,500 somewhere around there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a good event. From my conversations with the food truck vendors, the biggest challenge will be getting them to come to the initial event because they're going to kind of take a risk to come here. So you might get an agreement for them to show up where you guarantee that they like to sell around $2,000 in food. You'd guarantee that through us, the city, paying for that. But then if they exceed that, then we get our money back, and then you just make if they sell more, they get more. So they're just guaranteed to get their $2,000 or whatever the requirement is. And then that would be something the city would front, and then or agree to in a contract. So we want a little feedback on the food situation. I think ultimately we'd like to see that shift to somebody other than city employees, city funds. I have reached out to the St. Bonnie Lions as well to see if they have if they would want to supplement and do some fundraising here as well, if that's even a possibility. So. Just try to.
Or would they would they be the people that would grill the hot dogs and hand them out?
Yeah,
if we had to go with the hot dogs and stuff again.
That could be a possibility. Yeah.
Rather than staff. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Gary's going, yes, that's a good idea.
So
anybody but us.
Actually, I know someone who he's done a lot of big things. Like he does the Our Lady of the Lake Festival. The church festival. So a ton of people there. He invested in all the grills and whatnot, and then the COVID-19 has really hurt him. So he's really trying to book some fun things, and he's very modestly priced. So it might be worth just checking him out.
Yeah,
he lives in Minnetrista, and he's a business, so we can check him out.
What's the name of the
Pickard?
Oh,
Pickard. Give that information to Jasper, and then he can follow up on that. Yeah.
So I think the direction we're kind of requesting is that a good course of action? If we can get a food truck lined up for a reasonable cost, pursue that. If it's too late in the season to get that done, just do the status quo and then plan for that next year.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of the kind of person that likes to do it just because he likes to do it. He's not looking to make a fortune.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then pursue both of those things, because it wouldn't hurt to find out and get information on both food trucks as well as this gentleman.
The other thing, just the date, I kind of glazed over that a little bit, and I don't know, in the past that I think there might have been a discussion about possibly moving that date. Are you guys okay with the May 20th date?
May is always a little risky, isn't it? How's it been?
It is. I don't know. I mean, Allie and I were talking. I don't know if Amy from the police department has a log of all the weather during Trista Day, but it can vary. It can be very nice, like last year, or it can be rain or snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think historically it's kind of all or nothing. If it rains, there's very few people that show up.
Yeah.
And so we had a good run for many years, and then it seems like the last few years we've had 2 or 3 rainy years. Yeah. One of them was really bad. Last year was beautiful. But we are kind of at the point where Amy needs to know, because she's either at or even a little past some of the start planning dates. Mm-hmm. The issue will be that a lot of the vendors or people that come to participate in Trista Day currently, the later in the summer we go when there's more festivals and things are already booked. So it might be difficult to move it unless we move it to really late fall.
No, I was thinking earlier in June maybe. Is that?
Well, we could, but
second
again,
weekend in June or something like that.
a lot of the vendors are booked already, so that's going to be the issue.
I would almost say, if I may, if we were to change the date, I think we should change it probably proactively, like a year in advance.
Well, that's a good idea, because then what we should do is decide on this year's date, but we should today also decide on next year's date, and then and we don't have to. We'll still have probably some discussion, but I think it would be better to do, because we talked about this last year, and we said last year, oh yeah, well, it's too late to change it.
Right.
And now we're right back where we were last year. So if we want to change it, I think we should decide to change it for 2024.
So in 2024, the date would be May 24 or May 18th. Historically, if we follow that tradition. The second weekend in June would be June 8th. So it'd be at the discretion of City Council what we want to do.
June 8th, that's probably right about when the kids get out of school, isn't it? So I wonder...
They'll get out.
Graduation.
Memorial Day is the 27th, so next year they'll probably get out before the end of, like, May 31st, I would guess.
I'm just wondering if families take off to,
Probably not that early,
vacation.
but I wouldn't think that early.
Okay.
But, I mean, yeah, some might, but
You get more people in June unless, I don't know, what rains more?
May.
May, that's what I thought. May is sketchy.
Let's try June.
The one other consideration, I think the origins of this event are
Public
Safety Week. And that's kind of why it's where it is right now. And that's kind of what a big part of the day is, that Public Safety Week designation. So we would kind of just say, well, Public Safety Week is also occurring, but we're going to do Trista Day on this day now. But we're also going to have the public safety
You still
stuff.
have the public safety, part of it.
Right. This whole event started out as a public safety open house, and that was the entire event. And then it's grown over the years into the city event. So at this point, I think we'd be fine just separating it from Public Safety Week because it's so much more than that.
Right.
I don't think that would really matter all that.
And still having all the public safety things.
Right. It could be the same event, just later in the year, because May is a very risky time to count on no rain. So.
Yeah.
We'll have to check with Mountain Fire because their fish fry is usually the first or second weekend of June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could coordinate and see if there's any other regional events occurring that second Saturday in June.
And if the fish fry is on the 8th, if 2024, we can always do then the next one, whatever that is.
Right. I don't know that it would be wise to lock into a date just yet, because I think there's a lot of events going on. And so we have to check with these people and make sure that they would be available. And Mountain Fire, I'm not sure if they would be willing to come the very next weekend, because they just had all their staff working at this fish fry the week before. So we might have to do some research and figure out what would work for the majority of the vendors and pick a date.
That's fine. I just don't want it to go now that we're discussing it again in February. So find out from them, and then maybe we need to, and then bring back a date.
Yeah,
next month.
Mound typically has it the first Saturday. Mm-hmm. So if we'd have it on the second, that might be a struggle. Right. Do we want to preliminarily lock in the third Saturday in June? And then we can do a little research and bring it back. And
It says June 4th here.
For the fish fry?
For the fish fry.
That was for 22, so would it be the same weekend, do you think?
It's June 3rd this year.
Yeah.
June 3rd.
Okay.
So just talk to Mound Fire and find out which, and if the 8th would still work for them, that's fine. That's great. And if it doesn't, then we can maybe push it back to the following one.
All right. I could certainly do that. I think our main players are Mountain Fire because they service our area.
Right.
St. Bonnie Fire. So as long as we can get the key public safety providers here, then everyone else will just fill in. So not a problem.
And if we know now on those potential date, we can also start talking to food truck vendors too.
Right.
definitely.
Okay. So we're going with June 8th until, or
For 2024, 2023, we're going to meet
Right.
May 20th.
Correct. Yep. So I will check with Mound and St. Bonnie Fire, see if that date works.
Okay. All right.
Very good, thank you. The next thing chronologically is the city bus tours. The last time this was held was 2019. Essentially what that is a coach bus is rented, and I think there's 50 people. Capacity is about 50 for that. RSVP, there's a bag lunch beverage provided for that. The cost for attendees is supposed to be $5. The approximate cost for the city is about $1,500 after the revenue from that. So I think it was, from what I understand, a pretty well attended event. People enjoyed it, and it's kind of a long event. It's 6 to 9. So, but the tour kind of goes throughout Minnetrista, and I believe the mayor she's the MC out there, giving the description of Minnetrista features. So,
Well, we have two other people too. So we have somebody from the West Tonka Historical, not hysterical, Society, and then we also have somebody from Three Rivers that kind of gives us some input. And then we usually, in the last couple of years, we've stopped at Three Rivers, the regional park, in the old Vern Gagne home, and that's where we've stopped for our break and supper, bag lunch. Because they have indoor as well as outdoor facilities. So if it's nice, we can be outside. They have picnic tables. If it's not, then we're inside.
and the proposed date for this is June 6th, which is a Tuesday. So it'd be a Tuesday evening.
Seems fine.
Seems all right? Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on. The last item, which is kind of a new idea that was talked about last year a little bit, is trying to coordinate a tree lighting event here in Minnetrista. So there's some surrounding communities that do this, but in an attempt to try to create a similar event here, we don't really have anything planned. So we'd have to plan the whole event out and look for a space and try to figure out a couple things logistically. I don't think we need to figure all of that out tonight, but I think we need to establish the framework of who's going to try to make those decisions, bring that to council, establish a budget. I think there was $5,000 allocated in the tree fund budget for 2023 for this event, anticipating this might happen. So really we want to kind of get a little direction from city council on how you'd like to proceed. I know there's been some talk about, I think former council member Pam Mortensen has kind of expressed some interest in this. Also, maybe potentially tapping into a couple members of the park commission, or if they're interested in it, and try to find a good place. Staff has been kind of looking around, pointing at Gary to see about trees and where a good place to be. And I think the best place we've identified is the tree out front here.
It's already there.
It's already here. So, parking is a challenge if you get a lot of people here, which it could, drive a lot of people. That's kind of challenging in this area. So. Those logistics would be kind of hashed out by the group that City Council would determine. City Council would make the ultimate decision on what we want to do, when we want to do it, kind of the format of it. But really, we want a little direction on how we'd like to proceed. Is this something we want to do this year? Is it, and if it is, we can kind of start the planning mechanism.
I think it wouldn't hurt to start the planning mechanism and see how it comes along. If it comes along and it looks like we could logistically and adequately, do it, it might be something we want to do. One of the things that brought this about is that, Mound always has their tree lighting. And, of course, they invite us, but it's kind of awkward because it's Mound's tree lighting, and we're not Mound. And then there's a lot of other communities that do some kind of holiday event. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if we could do something, too? We have Trista Day, and that's the only other big community event that we have. If it's not real expensive and we can pull it together fairly inexpensively, we're thinking hot chocolate and
s'mores.
Well, maybe, bonfires or whatever. So I think it's worth exploring at least and seeing how much it would require. If it doesn't require a lot of staff time, we're not going to roast hot dogs, Gary.
No, no, Gary. But you're going to have to put 5,000 lights on the tree.
Not me. My guys can.
We don't need a tent. And so anyhow, so it might, and again, start out small, just something to get the community feeling like it's Minnetrista's.
Yeah. Yeah, we can bring back some ideas, I think. Looking at Allie, she's great at planning, and it'll be a public works coordinated event too, and we'll try to, keep that in mind, right?
Okay.
Keep staff time down. But really, it'd be great if a group like, St. Bonnie Lions or somebody would want to participate and help out with the planning, and
Even the West Tonka Recreation Association, they have a board. Maybe their members would be interested in participating or somehow helping out.
yeah.
It might be another option.
Yeah, it'd be great to get a service organization tied to
Yeah.
even Trista Day.
Well, the other organization would be River Valley Church. They've often said, hey, if there's anything we can do for the city, let us know. They might be willing to participate or help.
Would the school district have like music? Or
I'm sure we could ask them. Yeah, I bet we could. They would probably come and do caroling or whatever.
What's the turnout like at the Mound event?
It's big.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
They have a horse and carriage, that they get, and they just love to. It's just this little 10-minute loop, and it's cute. It's fun.
So I think there's a lot of potentials. Like I think the parking is going to be the big
Especially
question.
with snow.
Right. So that might be the only thing that might be a little more work for Public Works is having to clear. I don't know what area. That'll have to be looked at. But
This is a crazy question, but the baseball field, WRA, is that plowed in the winter?
Not by us. I don't know if they do snow removal on it themselves.
There's the parking lot, the parking lot thing is because they have that dog, people bring their dogs back there and that.
Oh.
But I don't think much of it is plowed. I think it's a minimal little area for buses or cars to go in. There's not a lot in
Yeah.
by it. And it's
Yeah.
certainly not timely plowed.
Yeah,
It-
right.
it's-
right.
Yeah, I don't know if this is what you're thinking, but we could have a
Like a shuttle.
shuttle that would go back and forth. We worked out something with them. It's
A
fairly
sleigh
close.
ride.
A sleigh ride.
Snowshoes.
Snowshoes. There you
Yeah,
go.
one time.
Well, we'll look at those, and if it's logistically not possible, then we don't do it. But if it is, we can figure something out. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
That's all we have for that item.
All right.
Do we want to ask the Parks Commission members if they would like to help plan it?
Yeah, I think we'll tap into David and see if there's somebody that has some interest. I think the group is probably better if we keep it smaller at first, and then they can generate some ideas and bring it back. And probably should start, maybe April. Probably have something.
Or you, start thinking about it and talking about it and bringing back some ideas maybe by March, April.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because we don't have a first meeting in April, right?
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next.
Yeah, that's it. Then the next
Okay.
item, that's Gary's.
That's
so
Gary.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Council, thank you. What we're looking for tonight is just if the council is interested in a cooperative agreement with the local nonprofit Tree Trust to do a citywide tree sale. I guess you guys have done this in the past before I got here, so must have been a few years ago. But for everybody who doesn't know, they did provide a little presentation. So Brian will click there. So Tree Trust, what they are basically is a nonprofit. They do a lot of different career pathways for kids and for youths and stuff like that. They do a lot of contracted landscape work for outreach and to help kids understand that and more adults. And then with their forestry program, they do the tree distribution, they plant, and they do a lot of learning with the schools and stuff like that. So a lot of education programs. Some of the cities that they've worked with here a lot have been, what they've provided here is the Maplewood, Eden Prairie, Roseville. Minneapolis is huge, and so is St. Paul. They're both very big, and they actually have some numbers here that they have. So in 2006, when they started, they did 1,000 trees. The city, the residents paid $15 per tree. So, and then now, if you could click in, Brian, since then there's 13,000 trees now, $25, so $75,000 a year that they commit to this program, and that's for Minneapolis. I think they have St. Paul on here too, if I'm correct. It's 1,800 trees this year. This Minneapolis' fall tree sale, so they're doing it twice a year. So, so they do a fall and spring distributions now there. So, so what they do is, how they kind of do is they look at our tree canopy, which our person from AmeriCorps is doing a great job. She's got, over 3,500 trees, I think, documented already now. So kind of look at what we have, and they try to diversify and get a lot of other trees in here so that when they do have this pick of what they're going to do for tree sales, it's not going to be your common basswoods or your maples and stuff like that. They're going to try to get a mixture of other trees in here to kind of get a diversified canopy in here. Everything will be hardy for this region, but they'll have quite a few choices, but it's not going to be your average everyday run-of-the-mill that everybody has in their yard. They're trying to get different ones in here. So, what they do with the public trees, you want to clip it again there, Brian, is, they're for beautiful, they get tons of environmental benefits. That's for on the public ways, but they do private too, and this would be more for the private yards in here. So, like I said, St. Paul does 5.2 million in public trees in 2013. Columbia Heights did 122,000 in 2013. A lot of this has to do with the emerald ash, getting rid of the ash trees, clearing them out, stumping, replanting is what they said. So a lot of that is involved in that. So, they say, they do the research with a vast number of trees in your yard, property values increase. They conserve energy because of the shade. Of course, you get, the lawn will be healthier too, because you don't have that sun beating down on it as much. So, what was this last survey they had here was the top 10 trees. Yeah. So this is what, so this is what the city of Falcon Heights did. Brian, if you want to go to the next slide, their little pie chart kind of shows you what they have, and that's what everybody's running into with these maples. Everybody's got maples all over, and we're running into that we have a ton of ash trees and we have a ton of different maples around. So we're kind of looking to, to diversify a little more and get some different ones in here. So, the big thing is going to be the emerald ash. I mean, that's what's coming. So, yeah, they really go all over. It's a big bug, evidently. It's going to eat the tree whole. But that's one reason that they want to, that they're looking to do these programs is to get, to help get it in there. So, Brian, if we go to the next one there. So it's a subsidized program. So the residents will order online through a Shopify ad. There's no really involvement of the city themselves. Once you guys make the decision and direct us what to do, they'll give us all the estimates and stuff, what they're going to do, and then they do everything. So they'll set the website ad. They'll, let the people go through what the Shopify does. They can look at the tree. They can click on it, get the description, look, see what the tree is going to be in the future. Hey, how big? What's it going to do? What's it look like in fall type deal? They'll get they'll buy it, and then when it comes time, all the trees will probably be delivered most likely here, central location. They have their volunteers come in, and they do all the work. So they come through, you have your little postcard, you'll pick up your tree, they give you a bag of mulch, they give you the planting instructions and tree care to go along with it. So it's really a hands off for us. I mean, the only thing we'll probably have enough to do is sweep in the parking lot afterwards. So they're not huge trees by any means. They're all number 10 pots, which will be, about 1 inch size diameter trees, which is perfect for planting. So the bigger the tree, the harder it is to get them to grow. So basically, the old rule is per caliper inch of a tree, it takes about that many years just for it to get accustomed to where it's at. So the bigger the tree, it's going to take longer. So, this is really good. If you want to go to the next slide. So, like they said, they can learn about the trees. They can ask questions about it. So they can actually go in, communicate with the arborist on there, and find out what it is. And then they'll send everything out. Like they'll do all the email reminders. And anything they want, they'll link it to our homepage so that you can just go to the homepage, click, and get to their page. So it's all, it's hands-free for us. So, it's kind of a no-brainer for us. So some of the stuff they pick is, so this will be what kind of the products they'll show. Then you just click on it and go through, and they'll show the price and stuff of the tree and what's available. And they'll have limited supplies of all the trees. What they do is once we pick our number of trees and all the other cities, they get everything together, then they'll start going to the different nurseries to get the trees and try to fill as many orders as they can. So
where do they get their money from? Because they have to buy these trees, right?
We are buying the trees.
Yeah, but we pay a certain amount for them.
But it's so that's what we're going to decide. How much are we paying, and how much is the public going to pay for a tree?
Okay.
So it's all volunteer work on them, and they do take I think it's in there that they did a cost estimate here for what's you get for Edina. If I think that was included in your thing, so I think there was a volunteer support of $50. The postage, everything, the bag mulch, everything is paid staff time, so they do charge us for it a little bit.
Okay.
But so you come up with a final price, but there's there's a fee, but there's not any time, I should say employee time into it.
Yeah.
Besides what we're doing. So they do recoup their cost in there, and it'll all be spelled out. And I think that's in your packet, so you can see how but once you guys decide what you want, and we can let them know, so then they'll spell that out. We'll bring it back, present it to you guys, see if you want to go ahead with it and go from there. So, so when you click on the tree, this is when it tells you, hey, this is what it's going to be. This is what it looks like, and how many you want and stuff like that. So,
this is the city did this in 2017. This is the company they used, because I bought some of the trees. They were nice. It worked well.
Yeah,
we loved it.
In 2017, when that was through that was through Hennepin County.
Yeah, I just found my old emails.
So with Hennepin County through Tree Trust,
it was Tree Trust. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was Hennepin County then that organized that.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
It worked well.
So it worked, so great. So, I mean, so like you say, it's time's covered by the CAC, a 40% copay for the residents or whatever they want to do. The city pays for trees. The cost about $100 to $120 a tree, and I think they've got on here this year, for the, for the number of 10 containers for City Dino was $110.44 a tree. So, and they, then what they're charging their residents. So, they use different distributors because they have to, because there's so much and stuff. So, but they can be as involved as we want, and just let them do everything, or we can help out and do stuff. But if they're willing to do it, I mean,
let them do it.
Let them do all the work. So,
yeah.
So I guess what we're looking for tonight, it's a few decisions here. Of course, this would be paid for out of our tree fund, which is roughly, they probably said a little over $360,000 in there right now. But basically, what we need to know is, first off, do you want to do a private tree sale for everybody? If you do, how many trees do we want to look at? Do we want to start with 100, 150, 200? I mean, I don't know if we want to. I think
last time we only did 100, and they were gone like that. I mean, in one day, I think they were gone.
And that's that's kind of the decision we want to make. And then the big thing is, what do we want to charge our residents? I mean, like they said, Minneapolis, they're charging like $15 to $25. I mean, we're so I don't know how you really want to do that with our community. So I mean, those are decisions you guys have to make. What are you looking for? How many trees? And first off, is this something you guys would be in favor of doing?
Okay,
again?
well let's ask.
I say yes. I looked at my email from 2017. The trees were $30 each.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely do. I'd say
40 or 30 or 40. Yeah.
Before answering that, what are we planning to do with that tree fund, or what is it?
Well, the intention was to use it, so this was established quite a while ago as an environmental fund. It wasn't really called a tree fund, but it's called a tree fund because we get the money from developers when they develop a parcel, and they remove more trees than what our ordinance allows. So once they remove more caliper trees than what the ordinance allows, and they can't replace them, a lot of times they can't replace them, then they have to pay into the fund. And so this has been accumulating probably over the past maybe 12 years or more. I don't know. And what we're supposed to be using it for is environmental programs and environmental issues. And that's why we call it the tree fund, because it's derived from trees. And so we use a lot of it for trees. But one of the things that Gary has been looking at is replacing our ash trees along our boulevard, whatever the city owns in parks and boulevard trees that are ash trees. So we'll be slowly replacing those trees too as we go along.
Well, in that, as they develop the borer, or get the disease, we have been treating them for the past 6 years now. So I think we just did them last year, so I think it was this year. So we do them every other year. So knock on wood, we're hoping that the treatments, hold, and we may end up having to do it for the life of the tree now, but it has, hasn't progressed to those trees. It is in Hunter's Crest, 1 block up, but none of the trees on Hunter's Trail, which have been done, which most of them they're being actually done by the homeowners association. Thank you. To save those trees in their development. We are doing the parks and ones here. We haven't seen that there, so hopefully it continues to work.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of what it might cost to replace these trees?
Well,
trees last year, didn't we? We approved a bunch of trees last year.
we did. Yeah, we just did 20 or was it 30 some trees just alone on 1 block. I'm trying to figure out where that was. I can tell you here in a second. Let me.
Like 15,000 or 12,000, wasn't it?
I thought it was closer to 20. Do you remember, Brian? EAB discussion replacement. Here we go.
So even if you figure
I'm
20,
going to say it was like $600 a tree, all said and done.
Trees too.
Yeah, we contracted 40 trees. We did 40 trees delivered and installed, but I don't see apologize, I don't see the price here for some reason.
well, even if you figure 30,000, or 600 or $700-800 a tree.
Yeah, it depended on the tree. We had anywhere from $488 installed to the most expensive was $666.
And we get a discount because we get them probably wholesale.
Yes, we get them wholesale. Plus, when you buy in bigger quantity like that, So, and this was to replace. They were up on Antler Way is where this happened, up in the Hunter's Crest area. So, and they're all boulevard trees. We did end up moving them back a couple of feet to give them a little more growing room and stuff. So, but the other thing we're going to start looking at is in the big picture of things. If you go down and what we're finding with the tree inventory and stuff, a lot of the trees that are planted, they're planted so close to the road that what's happening is it's the root system itself is girdling. So what happens is the root system spreads out, but when it always tries to go for the lush soil where to get the most moisture. When it hits the rock in the shoulder area, they turn back on themselves looking for it. So basically, it's like putting your hands around your throat and squeezing. You're strangling the tree. A lot of them were planted too high. A lot of them, the mulch was left on them. Were not replaced, so it's growing over. So we're going to see a lot. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see a lot of early demise for those maples there too. And there's quite a few of them. If you look at going down Games Trail and all that and stuff, and it's really sad. If they just would have pushed them 4 or 5 feet farther into the properties, it would have been so much better. The other issue that we're having, and I'm sure you've seen it, Kathleen's seen it in Woodland Cove. No one was evidently watching these people, and there's so many trees that are dying in there that are already dead. I think what's going on is, they go to the Lisa Whalen Tree Farm and say, hey, I got to have 100 trees. What do you got that you want to get rid of? Really, that's what these developers doing. They're just putting in whatever. They're not great trees by any means. You can see a lot of scarring and stuff already. So we're going to be watching that a lot closer now with the new plantings that are coming, especially if they're going to be ours, because we're going to end up having to replace them. So, and then when we do end up having to replace a lot of these in Woodland Cove, we'll probably have to start discussing what you guys want to do with it. But we want to move them back. We want to get them off the boulevard. We want to get less trees. I know people don't like that, but get them spread out more in open areas. So
yeah, you and I talked about instead of having them between the road and the sidewalk in Woodland Cove, putting them on the other side of the sidewalk where there's grass, so
Yeah.
open area, which would make way more sense than the.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, a lot of these places have 2 or 3 feet, and it's not enough for a tree.
No.
I mean, if, history says anything, you look at downtown Chaska's, the Carvers, and that type of stuff, where their sidewalks are heaved up and, because you got a big, massive old elm tree or an oak tree that was there, and that's what you're running into. And we see that already when we're replacing sidewalk panels. We're cutting off a 3-inch root that's underneath there that's lifted the panel. You just can't, unfortunately, you have to cut that off to get the sidewalk because you don't want a trip hazard because then you're asking for a lawsuit. So, it's detrimental all the way around. So,
Gary, so we did about, 46 trees for 23,000 roughly.
That was, yeah.
So it sounds like we have plenty of money in that fund for our purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'd be in favor of looking at this.
Yeah, like for the Edina tree, like what they proposed for Edina, it's going to end up with a $50 quote with a tree. It was $15,000. They have their people pay, out of those 100 trees, $5,000 comes, supplied back in. So basically out of the actual city coffer for like them, for this example, is $10,213.
How many trees? I'm sorry, 100.
They get 100.
They get 100. Okay.
So, depending on what we want to do, if we want to do 100, 150, it'd probably be around that same ballpark, but we'd have a more exact, total once I tell them, and they'll figure everything out and
Right.
what comes up. So, like I say, the 3 questions are, I'm assuming it sounds like you guys want to do it,
Right.
and then I guess the next question would be how many trees?
Well, I wouldn't be, again, this is just me. We'll see what you guys think. I wouldn't be opposed for the city, cost to be like 20,000 because there are so many trees that need to be replaced. And if people would come in and actually, get some of these trees and replace them, that would be great. But, we have the money. We haven't done it for quite a few years.
And, one thing to think about too is if you want to do, you could do spring and fall. They do them both. Do you want to do them every year, every other year, type deal? So, I don't know if you want to, just want to try it to start to see how it goes. I hate to say, hey, let's do 250 trees and all of a sudden, get a big turnout. But I think we will, but, I'm just,
Well, we did 100, I think it was 100 in 17.
It sounds correct.
And then, so I would at least go 150.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just because I know they just went like that. They were gone. And then, see what that cost is and see how that goes. And then if it really goes, if we have a lot more people, maybe we want to consider doing one in the fall again. So maybe 150 trees.
Okay.
I don't know what the cost of that would be, but it'd probably be somewhere around 15,000.
I would say, probably if you're going to, be half of that again. So, our cost would probably be around 15 to, depending on what it is. And all depends too. They're like the Edina example. They're doing $50 per tree for citizens to share. What are you guys looking at? What are you thinking for cost? For them to pay.
Retail tree.
This one, what they've got is that number 10 containers are $110.44. Their bag mulch is $442, which they get. So around $115
sounds like $50 sounds like a pretty good deal. That's less than 50%. That's more than 50% off.
That's a good deal. So
I haven't
50.
bought a tree in a long time.
You don't need one. You got plenty on your property. So 50.
That's a good.
I think
so
that's
something that would really appeal to
Right.
the citizens.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do is we'll contact them tomorrow, tell them that we're interested in 150 trees with a copay of $50 per tree then, and have them write that up. And
Okay. So when do we start advertising this?
well, I'll bring it back to you guys for final approval then on the 22nd, and then we'll let them run with it, and they'll come up with their dates when they're going to start. They'll let us all know, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. So
Yeah.
And you'll post it.
Newsletter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I think they'll work too, and like they said on here on the thing, they'll coordinate with the city so we can put it on our website, Facebook page, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think once word of mouth gets out too that the trees are coming, it is a good deal. And one thing they did make certain to tell you, that make sure we tell them that it is for Minnetrista residents only. So we don't want they've had that in other areas where if they're doing something, you get people from Bloomington, Richfield, people are coming across the border to grab them and stuff. But to make sure that they have, that they are in with the Minnetrista address, just
Right. Yeah.
So
Thank you. That reminds me, Minnetrista to add. So with the bus tour, I think we want to make sure that if somebody doesn't have a Minnetrista address, put them on a waiting list. If we fill it with Minnetrista residents, they come first. So, yeah.
Perfect. Yep, I can have them enter on the RSVP.
Okay. And then
Or they live on the
for the State of the City address, I think we should invite a couple of our local representatives like Andrew Myers and Kelly Morrison and Dean Phillips and maybe Kevin Anderson.
Oh, great.
So those are our county and state and federal representatives, which would be nice, I think, to at least invite them. Don't know if they would all come, but at
And the
least
meetings will be noticed, just in case there's a quorum.
Yeah, is that a date that works? The 18th?
Yeah.
Okay, because we'll, of course, introduce the council that's there. So when we advertise this, I think we should also say it's an opportunity to meet your council. So people might say, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of nice." I mean,
So are we thinking the council will come to the city bus tour? Because they just have very limited seats. So I'll need to only...
No, I will not be doing the bus tour.
I'm not doing the bus tour, okay. You know what I mean? Because the seats on the bus is...
I've done it before, so it's great.
I have not.
but
Guarantee you I'll be doing
I
some
heard it's really fun. So
Yeah.
I want to go.
If you could let me know sometime this week,
yeah,
then I'm going, well, I can email you too.
yeah.
June
Okay.
I don't want to say there's, 55 spots. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Was there anything else? Can't think of anything else. Okay. That's it then, right? So we are done with our work session agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy and Kathleen. Any second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 4-0 and of course is absent. So with that, we will be adjourned for the next 44 minutes.
No,
No.
we have EDA at 6:45.
That's right. Thank you.
29 minutes.
That'll be a real difficult meeting.
Very long, stressful.